Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Renu Tyagi from Sardar Patel Institute, Ahmedabad. Today we are going to talk about the module Environment and the Genetic Contribution to the Obesity under the paper Physiology and Sports Anthropology. Now let's see what are the objectives of this particular module. The major objectives of this module is to develop an understanding of the obesity, to know about the environmental factors which influence obesity among people, to understand the genetic factors which contributes towards the obesity, and then to understand the various hormonal factors which affect the obesity among people. Introduction about obesity can tell us that obesity is a major health concern worldwide. Today, 65% of the world population live in the countries where overweight and obesity are responsible for more deaths than underweight, as per the recommendations given by the World Health Organizations. In recent population, there has been 1 billion adults who are overweight and at least 300 million of them are obese. The death rate caused due to the obesity is more than that caused by the undernutrition. According to the World Health Organization, the overweight and obesity may be defined as an abnormal or excess fat accumulation that is a risk to the health of an individual. Obesity is a metabolic disease in which abnormal or excess fat is accumulated in the adipose tissue. Obese people differ in the amount of the excess body fat and also in the distribution of the body fat. The word overweight can be used interchangeably, as the doctors usually define overweight as a condition in which the body weight is 10 to 20% more than the normal weight as defined by the standard weight height charts or by the body mass index or BMI chart. Obesity is caused when the body weight is more than the 20% of the normal weight. The prevalence of obesity is commonly assessed by using the different body mass index. Now let's see what is body mass index. Body mass index is a simple index which is used to identify or classify people as overweight, underweight and obese. BMI or body mass index can be defined as the weight in kilogram divided by the height of an individual in meter square. So BMI is equal to weight divided by height. By using the different BMI standards, we can determine whether the health state of an individual is belong to which category. For example, if a BMI of an individual is less than 18.5, then such an individual can be classified as an underweight individual. If an individual's BMI falls between 18.5 to 24.9, that individual is considered as an normal weight individual. BMI greater than 25 is classified as an overweight individual. BMI greater than 30 is considered as an obese individual. And BMI between 30 to 34.9 is considered as class 1 obese individual. Similarly, the BMI between 35 to 39.9 is considered as a class 2 obese individual. And an individual with BMI more than 40 is considered to be highly obese or class 3 obese individual. There are many ways in which obesity can be determined. The obesity can be determined by waist circumference or waist-hip ratio or by the skin fold thicknesses. Waist circumference can be defined as the circumference around the abdomen. In diet, when the intake of fat is more than it results in the obesity. Commercially prepared food have higher energy density than required. Food that has high quantity of the fat produces a greater degree of obesity than those with content higher amount of the carbohydrate. Fat produces more calorie than compared with the carbohydrate and protein. Fatty food contents have low fiber and are soft in nature. If the consumption of the fat in the diet increases, then the oxidation of fat much increases immediately in order to prevent the storage of the additional fat in the body. But the ability of oxidation depends on the genetic factor. Regulation of body weight is determined by the quantity of fat intake in the diet. The amount of calorie consumed should be equal to the amount of calorie burnt in order to maintain proper health. If the consumption of calorie is more than the calorie burnt, then it will result in obesity. Physical activity is one of the major cause of obesity. According to WHO, physical activity can be defined as any bodily movement produced by skeletal muscles that require energy expenditure. Physical activities include exercise, jogging, household chores, walking, cycling, etc. Physical activity has declined due to more viewing of TV and online games. Even the use of escalator and lift has increased the physical inactivity and led to the obesity. Changes in the work pattern due to modern technology, which required less number of labor, and change in environment have caused sedentary lifestyle, which results in obesity. Any activities require burn-in calories that one gain from the food one takes. Energy that is required to do any physical activity is provided through carbohydrates that is stored in the body in the form of glucose and glycogen and fatty acids. Obesity is found to be common in low socio-economic status in industrialized developed nation. Many factors like educational level, income and other markers of socio-economic status are related to the lower level of physical activity, poor nutrition with more amount of fat and carbohydrate in food and psychological factors. Lower socioeconomic status is associated with less health consciousness and low life expectancy. Obesity is more common in developing countries than developed countries. In developing countries, it is more in higher socioeconomic status part of the society. This is because as the higher section of the society has more capacity to obtain more food, cultural values which favor round shape of body and less physical activity. Lack of food and high energy expenditure becomes less frequent when a society reaches a certain level of economic growth. People in low income group consume food that have high fat content, energy dense food as because that is more affordable to them than a healthy diet which consists of lean meats, fresh fruits and vegetables. The people in the lower socioeconomic status are more sensitive to the price elasticity than higher socioeconomic status as a healthy diet is expensive. Let's have a look at the influence of the drug on obesity. Many drugs also affect the health and cause obesity. Drugs that one intake has side effects. One of the such side effect is obesity. Some medicine as a side effect increase appetite and also may cause the fluid retention in the body or may cause increase in body's weight slowly due to fatigue or physical inactivity. As obesity is a slow process, so it is often difficult to distinguish that this body weight is due to drugs or diet or due to physical inactivity. Antidepressants are such kind of drugs which is known to increase appetite and cause increase in weight gain. Many drugs like antihistamines, antipsychotics and antihypertensives are associated with increase in weight gain. Glucocorticoids produce fat gain, particularly the truncal adiposity, in a high percentage of users. Insulin and oral hypoglycemics promote weight and adipose tissue gain in diabetics. Phenothiazines, atypical antipsychotic agents, and some antidepressants such as tricyclics and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors may produce the weight gain. Cyproheptadine and valproate also have been implicated in the etiology of obesity in some patients. Finally, beta-adrenergic antagonists such as propranolol are postulated to reduce sympathetic nervous system activity and leads to the weight gain or difficulty in losing the weight. Stress is another factor which results in the obesity. A person becomes stressed when he or she cannot cope with the pressure of the outside world, and it comes out in the form of different physiological responses. Studies show that people who are obese have 55% chances to become depressed with the time, and it also shows that depressed people have 58% chances of becoming obese with time. It is seen that many people change their eating habits when they are stressed or when they are continuous under financial, interpersonal or other stress. It is also found that 20% does not undergo any change during stress period, but many people do. It has been seen that those who are initially overweight or at the upper range of normal are more prone to gain weight, and those who are normal or overweight, they do not gain much weight during stress period due to overeating. During stress period, caloric intake increases with increase in the stress. The food that is usually taken during stress is increased in fat or sugar content. The obvious problem with the habitual use of food to reduce feelings of stress are twofold. First, the emotional comfort feeding, when used repeatedly, results in primarily abdominal obesity because of greater sensitivity of abdominal adipose tissue to the combined signals of insulin and glucocorticoids. The glucocorticoids increase the intake of calories in the body. Second, and perhaps more importantly, it may serve in some individuals to relieve the stress-induced mental discomfort to the extent that conscious thought about how to cope with the stressor does not occur. Since stress are a part of life, so occasionally relief in stress due to eating pleasurable does not cause obesity, but if eating becomes means to get rid of every stress in life, then naturally it will lead to obesity. Obesity can cause a number of health issues such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, respiratory problems while sleeping, cancer and osteoarthritis. Many people who are suffering from obesity are at a higher risk of having the physical problems like joint issues or urinary incontinence, etc. Functional problems like impaired mobility and psychosocial problems like body figure issues and bullying, etc. Obesity can affect one's life physically as well as emotionally. It can cause low confidence level, depression, low socialization, etc. It is characterized by the high cholesterol, fatty acid levels, imbalance in the metabolic energy, insulin desensitization, lethargy, gallstones, high blood pressure, shortness of breath, emotional and social problems, and excessive adipose mass accumulation with hyperplasia and hypertrophy. Obesity is a chronic disorder which is caused due to complex interaction between environmental and genetic factors. The environment factors are the diet, physical activity, socio-economic status, drugs, stress, etc. Stress is a factor, as we all know, for obesity. Obesity is caused not only by overeating or lack of the exercise, but it is also the result of the modern world and technology. The modern technology has made our work simpler, which has increased and made our life more sedentary. Obesity is due to the consequences of the modern life as due to the high fat content, cheap food devices which reduce the workload, transport and sedentary lifestyle are influencing the obesity occurrence. The technology revolution of 20th century has led to the weight gain in the large population. There are many genetic factors that are also responsible for the obesity. Genetic factors include heritability, imprinted genes, obesity as a polygenic trait, mutation in the leptin receptors, pro-epinephrine hormones. Now let's see the genetic factors. Heritability is one of those. A child gets all its character from his or her parent as genetic material are transferred from parents to children. As stated by Jonathan in his book, The Evolutionary Biology of Human Body Fatness, heritability in the classic sense refers to the sum of genetics contribution to the variance in phenotype. Heritability also includes allelic variation, dominance variation, and parental effect. The parental effect, which helps to determine the genetic effects on individuals, are on the basis of phenotypes of parents. Many approaches that are used to study this are confined within family correlation, twin study, and adoption studies. The parents who are obese have the maximum chance to have the obese children. Imprinted gene is another factor which contributes towards the obesity. An individual inherits two copies of the gene, one from mother and one from the father. Genomic imprinting can be defined as the expression of genes according to the maternal and paternal origin. In imprinted genes, only one copy is inherited and expressed. Gene imprinting happens when one copy of genes from mother is expressed, then the genes from the father is silenced or imprinted, and in case the genes from the father are expressed, then the genes from the mother are silenced. That is, they are not expressed. The two main clusters of genomic imprinting are known in humans. Failure in imprinting, which results in obesity by altering the expression of growth and cellular differentiation, factors can arise due to numerous genetic events like translocation, inversion, duplication, paternal disomy, and hyper or hypomethylation. Let's see what is Prader-Willi Syndrome. It is an autosomal dominant disorder caused by the missing of the paternal copy of a gene on chromosome 15 in the Q11 to Q13 region. In infancy, it is characterized by low appetite, but from early childhood onwards, it is characterized by hyperphagia, that is a serious eating disorder where a child eats unless he or she vomits or develops gastric problem. This gives rise to obesity. If the gene in the same segment are missing by maternal inheritance, then it gives rise to a different disorder that is called Angelman syndrome, which is characterized by the hyperactivity, mental retardation, and inability to control physical movement. The next is Albright Hereditary Osteodystrophy, AHO. It is an autosomal dominant disorder. Albright Hereditary Osteodystrophy, that is AHO, is an autosomal dominant disorder. It is caused by the genomic imprinting due to mutation in the guanine nucleotide binding protein, alpha-stimulating activity polypeptide 1. It is characterized by the constellation of physical features which include short stature, subcutaneous calcification, brachydactyly, osteoma cutis, obesity, rounded faces, hypocalcemia, increased level of serum parathyroid hormone level, and parathyroid hyperplasia, and in some cases, it can be developmental and developmental abnormalities. The Bardet-Biedl syndrome is another example of the genomic imprinting. It is a rare and autosomal recessive disorder. The Bardet-Biedl syndrome is characterized by the obesity, mental retardation, pigmentary retinopathy, polydactyly, hypogonadism in males, learning disabilities and renal abnormalities. This syndrome can be present in heterogeneous phenotype, which is mapped from at least 16 loci with mutation from more than one locus, which is required sometimes for complete expression of the phenotype. Obesity as a polygenic trait can be well understood. There is a strong evidence that fatness is a polygenic. A small number of single trait conditions have been identified, such as mutation in the leptin receptor. There are many mutations in the gene which have homology to the genes which cause obesity. In this case, obesity is the dominant character and is independent of environmental factors, although it is very rare. Body fatness cannot be associated with any particular gene as it is a result of genetic and environmental factors. In 2007, Bocard analyzed the map of genetic contributing to the human obesity in order to clarify how genetic factors are implicated in the biology of adipose tissue. Bocard found 127 genes demonstrating association with body fatness. Mutation in the leptin receptor is another factor contributing towards the obesity. Leptin is an endocrine hormone produced by the adipose tissue. It is responsible for many metabolic pathways. Leptin is also responsible for the communication with the brain in case of low food intake and also indicate low level of adipose tissue in the body. The primary site where leptin acts in the hypothalamus, the region which is responsible for appetite, where the deficiency of leptin activates the series of neuroendocrine which helps to conserve energy when the intake of food is not sufficient. Leptin is basically a key component responsible for several metabolic regulatory pathways where adiposity is integrated with other physiological functions. Leptin is associated with the human reproduction in females like onset of puberty, conception, capacity for lactation. The mutation in leptin gene is very rare in human. Mostly these mutations are caused by the frame shift mutation. Such mutation result in truncated leptin with an aberrant C terminus. The persons are extremely obese from a younger age and had severe eating disorder or hyperphagia. The people who are heterozygote had subnormal leptin level but have higher tendency to become obese than expected. Pro-Opiomelanocortin is another factor contributing to obesity. Mutation in the Pro-Opiomelanocortin, that is POMC gene causing obesity is rare. POMC genes serve as a genetic factor that interact with other genes as well as with the environment, resulting to complex human phenotype. It helps post-transcriptionally to produce number of hormones like adrenocorticopic hormone, that is ACTH, alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone, and beta endorphins. The increase of leptin level is stimulated by the hypothalamic synthesis of alpha MSH. The expenditure of energy and decreased food intake is promoted by alpha MSH at MC4R. The POMC gene is located on the 2p21 chromosome, which affects the serum leptin level. Serum leptin levels are proportional to the body fat deposition, which results in the obesity in human population. The deficiency of POMC results in hyperphagia and early onset of obesity due to loss of melanocortin signaling at the melanocortin 4 receptor MC4R. Mutation in this gene is associated with pale skin, red hair, obesity, adrenal insufficiency, etc. Insulin is secreted by the pancreatic gland. Insulin regulates the level of carbohydrate, metabolism of the fat, and also regulates the level of glucose in the blood. Insulin also stimulates the intake of glucose from the blood in tissues like muscles and liver. In obesity, insulin signals are lost and these affects the glucose intake by the tissues. the glucose level in the blood gets disturbed even if the insulin content in the blood is normal or high. This is called the insulin resistance. Thyroid stimulating hormone is released by the thyroid gland. When the secretion of thyroid hormone released is less than the normal, then this condition is called hypothyroidism. Thyroid hormone deficiency slows down the body's metabolism. This condition is also called myxedema and is common in women than in men. The symptoms are fatigue, weight gain or obesity, poor digestion system, edema, muscle cramps, etc. The sex hormones that are responsible for obesities are testosterone and estrogen. Level of sex hormone decrease with age in both the genders. A decrease in sex hormone leads to an increase in the fat mass, reduction in lean body mass or central redistribution of the fat. In males, testosterone level decrease sharply between age 40 to 60 years. Low testosterone level is associated with increased fat mass among male. In males, the increase in fat mass converts testosterone to estrogen with the help of enzyme aromatase. In women, estrogen level declines after menopause. Men and postmenopausal women do not produce much estrogen in their testes and ovaries. Women who are taking estrogen supplements after their menopause do not accumulate fat around the abdomen. Growth hormone is secreted by the pituitary gland. This hormone is responsible for the height of the person, building of the bones and muscles. The primary function of the growth hormone is stimulating protein synthesis, increases blood sugar level, maintain calcium level, helps in muscles growth. In studies, it is found that in obese people, the level of growth hormone is less than compared to the normal person. So students, let's now summarize what we have learnt in this module so far. By now, we have understood that obesity is a major health problem worldwide, especially in the developing countries, where many people are dying due to the obesity than the undernourishment. According to World Health Organization, overweight and obesity are defined as abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that presents a risk to our health. The health risks that are associated with obesity are type 2 diabetes, heart diseases, respiratory problems while sleeping, cancer and osteoarthritis. By BMI, one can assess the severity of the obesity. Through the BMI index, the weight of the person and height of the persons are studied in proportion. The BMI is a ratio of the weight in kg divided by height in meter square. Besides, there are other methods to assess the obesity which include the waist circumference, waist-hip ratio and the skin fold thickness estimation. Obesity is caused due to the both environmental factors and the genetic factors. The environmental factors include diet, our physical activity level, socio-economic status, drug intake, stress, etc. However, the genetic factors that cause obesity are heritability, imprinted genes, obesity as a polygenic trait, mutation in leptin receptors, Pro-Opiomelanocortin and hormones. As traits in an offspring is determined by the genetic makeup of the parent, so parents who are obese have the high chances to have the obese children. Genomic imprinting can be defined as the expression of the genes according to the maternal and paternal origin. In imprinted genes only, one copy is inherited and expressed. The gene imprinting happens when one copy of genes from mother, if expressed, then the genes from the father is silenced or imprinted. And in case the genes from the father are expressed, then the genes from the mother are silenced. That is, they are not expressed. Prader-Willi Syndrome is an example of genetic imprinting. Many genes are responsible for the obesity. Obesity is a polygenic a small number of single trait conditions have been identified, such as the mutation in the leptin receptors. Leptin is an endocrine hormone which is produced by the adipose tissue. The deficiency in the leptin causes the hyperphagia and it results in the obesity. The POMC gene is located in the 2p21 chromosome, which affects the serum leptin level. The serum leptin levels are proportional to the body fat deposition, which results in the obesity in human population. The deficiency of the POMC results in the hyperphagia and many or early onset of the obesity due to the loss of melanocortin signaling at the melanocortin 4 receptor, that is MC4R. Hormones, which are the chemical substances which regulates the metabolism of the body, are also responsible for the obesity. The selected hormones that are found to be responsible for obesity are insulin, thyroid stimulating hormone, sex hormones and growth hormones, etc. Thank you.